Night flight to Cambodia with my old friend Al Morgan, who did great work there about 10 years ago. Time has passed, and now he's ready to see what he helped start has grown into. Something like 30 hours later, we arrived at Siem Reap International Airport, full of people and ways this could all be done better. Arn and Dekha met us. We all checked in where they always stayed, back in the early days of Cambodian living arts. And pretty soon we were out having dinner at another place with deep ties. It was great waking up in Siem Reap. We decided to go be tourists at Angkor Thom. Angkor Thom is the last of the great Angkors, as far as we know. The Khmers had about a 600-year run as an empire, and some of those years, especially around the year 1000 and the next few centuries after that, Cambodia had the largest and most advanced civilization on the planet. This is the Bayon, the temple area at the very center of Angkor Thom. Those faces. Bayon is a Buddhist temple. Some believe the faces are the king himself. Others believe they belong to a bodhisattva of compassion, Avalokiteshvara. Al with our van, Al being amazed at the Cambodian Living Arts office at Wat Bo, with old friend Song Sang. Cambodian arts and artists were almost totally destroyed under the Khmer Rouge. Al helped start an organization which has brought them back to life. The man he helped is Arn Chornpond. Arn survived 4 years of work camps and killing fields and somehow made it to a refugee camp in Thailand, where he was adopted by an American and went through high school in Vermont and college in Providence, Rhode Island. His main goal was always to return to Cambodia, find any surviving masters of the arts, which he did, and establish schools where the knowledge could be passed along.
Hello, my name is Dokdet. I am the owner of the restaurant right now, and in 2015 my ex-boss, she lives from here and she busy with her work in Phnom Penh, so she sold the business to me, and right now I am the owner of the restaurant.
What is the restaurant's name?
The Butterfly Garden Restaurant.
And so tell me about the kids and the butterflies.
We have right now our restaurant, we are support the 2 kids. And they are always bring the butterfly for us, and we always send them to school and pay for their school supply, such as book and clothes, and sometimes we also buy bicycles for them for the traveling to school.
The young man who owned this restaurant called the Butterflies Restaurant, I just talked to him, we just talked to him now, and I didn't realize that we knew him 15 years ago, a little boy working at this restaurant that were owned by Susan Hackadon, American owner who got many children from the village to catch butterflies, and they can make a little money out of that to support going to school in the countryside. That's why it's called Butterfly. They have a celebration every Thursday to release butterflies. And I'm surprised to have his name Dave. He called me and he remembered me. I don't remember because he was really young, but maybe 10 years ago. And he said, I'm an owner now, so I'm quite proud and happy for him. And the tradition still go on with the butterflies children, that bring the butterflies here and made a little money and support their schooling. So now I'm quite surprised, and the restaurant now owned by a former workers, and the idea works, and I have to admire Susan Hackadon, who really sees something in somebody, especially the children here in Cambodia that needs job and needs to have a real bright future for them and for their own kids. And she's sort of saying, take it, and that's the way it should go. And I'm very happy to be sitting here eating his food, It made me so happy, so I hope Alan too.
The head monk at Wat Bo also knew Arn and Al from way back and loved their work. So he let us record the Pagoda Boys. Part of the reason I'm here is to explore new kinds of storytelling. So I also recorded the Pagoda Boys using my 360-degree VR video setup. That was all day one. On day 2, we started in Siem Reap, then went out to a village where one of the masters lives, on Men, and also one of the young performers who I was hoping to record in 360 videos. Which we did. And it became the foundation for everything good that followed. In the evening, we saw the Far Circus, riveting young Cambodian performers. That was the first 2 days, one great show after another. We had decided that day 3 would be another tourist day. I was only vaguely aware of Angkor Wat until I started traveling in Asia in my 50s and 60s. So it was places like Taj Mahal or the Great Pyramids that occupied my abstract idea of most amazing buildings ever. Now it's Angkor Wat. For scale, it blows everything else away. At over 4,000 acres, it's considered the largest religious structure in the world. For style, of course this is a matter of taste, but the classical Khmer shapes and the overall harmony of the pieces in their setting make it my favorite. The 5 towers at the center, a quincunx, is just breathtaking from any distance or perspective. The architects and builders had perfected their techniques at this point in the empire and could work in sandstone rather than the coarser rocks like Laetrile. The backstory isn't bad either. Old King Suryavaman thought he was making a copy of heaven, dedicated to the Hindu god Vishnu. But over the 12th century, the cultural environment shifted, and Angkor Wat became a Buddhist temple, which it still is today. It's also a great source of national pride and a growing source of revenue. A robust ATM machine is a gift from Cambodia's glorious past. But here is the part I would come back for over and over: the famous bas-reliefs carved into the inner walls of the outer gallery. It's basically a comic book, stories told through drawn figures, except in stone. The drawings are detailed and lifelike. They pull you in. The stories are easy to follow, and follow. Adding up all 4 walls, there's about 1/2 mile of graphic novel surrounding Angkor Wat. I won't be through reading for a while. We had some coconut, caught a second wind, and continued on to the East Gate, which we had to ourselves. Next, Top Room, which was underwhelming. Too much disarray, too many people, and not enough space for them to be in. We returned to Wat Bo in the afternoon, where superstar singer-songwriter Joss Stone was not dressed right for a temple. Arn tried to make it right and ended up losing his krama. Later, I explored Siem Reap some on my own and had an excellent dinner at the Bugs Cafe, an insect bar.
Hello guys, my name is Davey. I run Bugs Cafe, so it's an insect restaurant. In this place we want to show that it's possible to make quality cooking with insects. It's a traditional thing in Cambodia. People talk more and more about it because it's good for health, it's good for the planet. There are many good reasons to eat insects, but it's always cooked the same way. You know, when you find some in the street, it's just fried and fried again. It's not always very safe, sadly. So we decided that it was possible to make something much more interesting with this kind of food. We hired a real chef first. He's Cambodian. He used to work for the Sofitel before. He's a fantastic chef. And we cook. It's a mix between Western and Asian cooking. We have burgers, soup, salads, spring rolls, woks, many different ways to cook all these, even desserts with insects.
And what are the main insects you use?
We use spiders, scorpions, crickets, ants, silkworms, giant bugs, and grasshoppers. I love to say that. And it's cooked from the easiest way to the most challenging one. So,
okay, thanks a million. Okay, tell me that again.
For the spring rolls, we put 2 kinds of ants. We put some red ant and some big flying ant. Then very good with the sauce, but be careful because it's spicy. Yes, that's it.
That's spicy?
Yeah, this one is spicy.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
My first bite of spring roll with ants. Dipping it in a spicy sauce.
It's good. It's good.
This morning, we completed my vision by recording Saray Mao at home in her village after seeing her and recording her as a performer. To be in this village, completely accepted, recording this new kind of video that is just great at showing a place. And all the equipment worked, nothing went wrong, I got every segment I tried to get. Anything not done well was a failure of imagination by me. But as it turned out, I did get what I needed. We had time to visit the remote Phnom Krom, an earlier Khmer monument high up on a hill with a view all the way to the Tonle Sap on a clear day. I got to work in my room on all the new media I had. It was all ready, almost time to leave Siem Reap. We made a 3-hour drive into a longer one, by not hurrying, and still made it to Battambang in time for lunch at the White Rose, looking down over the center of town. But the main event of the day was still to come, the Bats of Battambang. This is just one of those free shows provided by nature. A gazillion Asian wrinkle-tipped bats, Cherophon plicatus, which emerge from the caves of Phnom Sampo to go out for dinner. They eat their weight in insects every night, and we're glad they do. All the people there to watch the bats, like me, are a pretty good show too. A nice breakfast at our hotel. This large guy is Tadambang, sometimes called the founder of Battambang. First of all, it's really different from most statues I've seen in Asia. Plus, the backstory is weird. Tadambang was a peasant who found a magic stick and was able to usurp the king and take power. But the king's son got away, and Tadambang had a dream that some holy man was going to defeat him. So naturally, he issues an order to kill all the holy men. The king's son gets tipped off in advance, discovers a white horse that could fly, and takes off for the city. Tadambang sees him coming and is like, uh-oh, this must be the thing. He throws his magic stick at him up in the air. It misses, and that's it. Tadambang runs off and is never heard of again, and the magic stick just plain disappears, which is what Battambang means, disappearing stick. And that's the guy they put here at a big intersection on National Road 5. Battambang is where Arn grew up. We visited the market, saw strange things, and made our way to a temple that was important to him in his childhood.
So let us walk around a little.
How old were you when you were here?
8 years old when I was 1974, right before the Khmer Rouge, when I was here and go to school here. It's not a regular school because we didn't have money. My parents starting to have no jobs for running the opera anymore because the war are approaching the city, and so I was sent here on my own, I think. Okay, so I serve the Buddhist monk, you know, the main guy here. I did cooking for him, and he asked me to go to school here to learn the Pali and Sanskrit, and then he said if I do well, he would send me to the regular school, which I did. You know,
and you were able to go to the regular school before the war started?
Yes, for probably almost a half year or so, and then the Khmer Rouge came in to the city.
He also remembered some fun times and places. Once upon a time, this was a working railroad out among the villages. Then, when it was too old-fashioned, Kids, like Arn, played on it. And learned how to work things out with others. Now it's here for tourists, but the lessons are just as useful. This time, they moved over for us. Now we do the moving.
Kijk, zo wordt hij dus eventjes ontmanteld. Dan gaat hij gewoon dan even aan de kant. En dan mag hij voor je.
We even took a little break to let a few others by. Then we headed on. In the late afternoon, we drove out to Banan. Phnom, a small mountain with 358 steep and hairy steps leading up to a very early Khmer temple, which locals claim is a prototype for the later majesty of Angkor Wat and others. I lugged the 360 video stuff up to the top so I could at least try to record the feeling of the place in a deeply immersive way. At least I made it down. Checked out some products, some people, and an exquisite setting. That night in my room at the Bamboo, I played my first 360 video story from Cambodia for Arn and Morgs and Dekha, and they loved it. The next day, the road to Phnom Penh. We stopped for lunch at a beautiful restaurant in a garden set back from the road, owned and operated by the amazing Devi Heder, a successful restaurateur in Boston, now retired to her idea of fun at home in Cambodia, running a small vacation spot for families. Oh, and of course she knows and loves Arn, and vice versa. Driving into Phnom Penh is not pretty. But our hotel, the Pavilion, sure was. It was built as a royal residence back in the 1920s. It has the whole French colonial thing going, along with a dose of decadence. I finished my first Cambodian 360 video story in my room. Then I explored the famous Sisowath Cay River Walk. Just when you thought things couldn't get any better, they did. We started the day at the main CLA office, and it turned out to be a love fest for Al Morgan. He was introduced to everyone as the co-founder of Cambodian Living Arts. I was also able to show the 360 VR video demo, and it was a big hit. A bunch of us moved on to Vigo, a really nice salad bar restaurant owned and operated by Sophia, the wife of the current CEO of Cambodian Living Arts, Plume. I started to get to know Bun Rith, another key member of the CLA leadership, better when we met again at the Museum Cafe that afternoon. He's a fiery, passionate guy with a huge project in his lap: integrate art and culture into the public schools of Cambodia, starting with Sisowath High School in Phnom Penh. Cambodia is expanding from just 1/2 day of mandatory public school to a full day. They need art to fill some of the new time. What a chance of a lifetime, and CLA has it. Plus, they thought my 360 video might be just the thing to kick off the project with something that would be really exciting to the students. We actually went over to the school later that afternoon. In some ways, this live performance is what it's all about, what CLA has evolved into, an organization that performs every evening at the National Museum. This was young people coming out of villages way off the grid, making sacrifices I can't imagine, all to be able to learn from masters and perform it at a world-class level. If I wasn't hooked already, I was that night. Arn started the day recording a segment to be used in the upcoming CLA celebration of past masters and future plans. Meanwhile, the idea of using 360 videos at the high school was already a done deal. We spent most of the day visiting Arn's old house. He and Sema are in the process of moving. We saw the Khmer Magic Music Bus. And we saw the new house, about 45 minutes north of Phnom Penh. In a neighborhood. By a stream. I relaxed, made some plans, and thought about the workshop. It's always about applying first principles. Get their attention, show them something, let them do it, and then talk about what happened. I got a traditional Khmer massage. Dinner at the Foreign Correspondence Club with Morgs. Corner chair, top floor. His choice for the best seat in Phnom Penh. A lot of history on the walls. We left at 8 for Kep and Kampot with a van full. Sema and Deka's wife and son joined us. It all worked, as things had since we started. We stopped at an old monastery on a hill. We stopped at a pepper farm, all organic and all free-range pepper. We learned why it's the best in the world, Kampot pepper.
In Cambodia, many provinces can grow pepper. Most north, northeast, northwest, southwest, but they could not give the good taste Kampot. Kampot, one of the finest pepper in the world, got 3 main reasons. The first reason is this special soil, the stone called quartz. Very high rich level of mineral. Translucent brown red, you know. The guy studied the same in France, where it produced wine, champagne. Second reason, the climate perfect. Next to the sea, on there got the solar. The mountain line here is about 60 meters sea level altitude. Quad combination is called microclimate. When a pepper growing region produce the flavor. Third reason, chemical free. Insecticide, fertilizing, natural, organic, no chemical. Chemical zero.
Okay. And the Kampot is just 30 minutes away.
There was fried crab, crab fried rice, morning glory with crab, squid and peppers, shrimp with sauces.
Well, yeah, just as I say, I was in town for about 4 years, so I came for 2 days and first started off volunteer English teaching, did that for about 6 months out in the countryside sort of thing, then ran out of money so needed to get a job and started working in different guest houses, tried to do it myself and then found the property and rented it.
I couldn't resist. There was a birthday party for someone in some family that evening, and on the way over we saw the young Arn icon for the first time. We had a nice evening, drinking beer and sitting around with all the folks there. Breakfast the next morning, back at the Mea Culpa, included very fresh bread. You gotta love a town that puts a huge durian front and center. This time, we saw the young Arn icon with Kong Ne, master of the long neck guitar. Oh, over on the right is Bob Dylan. We drove back to Phnom Penh. Nice evening reflections with Morgs, who will be leaving tomorrow. I moved to a new hotel, the Plantation. I was a little lonely and disoriented on my own at first. I needed to do something, and I chose Tuol Sleng, S21, the notorious prison of the Pol Pot years. It has become the living memorial to the unfathomable capacity for inhumanity in humans. These pictures are just suggestions of the suffering and horror on display for all to see and never to forget, even though we have. It didn't improve my mood. But I went back to S21 the next day anyway, to make a set of 360 videos. Later, I took a long walk, had some chicken lak lak, and a cool cyclo ride back. I had gone over every detail, checked and double-checked the equipment. I wasn't nervous until the morning of the workshop. I'd done it all a million times before, but never this technology, this situation and setting. Sisowath High School was opened in 1873, the first modern Franco-Cambodian high school in the country. Its notable alumni range from Sihanouk to Pol Pot. I was there, all set up and ready to go, really early. Everyone showed up on time, all at once. Students, vice principals, CLA people, and it went pretty much just as I'd planned. I got them thinking, showed them the demo I'd made, and then set them loose. We had 2 setups. Descartes followed one group and I stayed with the other. They caught on fast. We went to busy places, walked down halls, got into classrooms. We were at it for an hour. I was fried, sweaty and exhausted and totally high. We reassembled, wrapped up, and planned on a follow-up in a few days. Arn, Descartes, Bunrith, and I debriefed over lunch. That was it for me. I took a nap, went out for dinner, worked on the next demo. I went over all the equipment with Sarin, so he knew how to handle the complete setup I was donating to CLA. Then I was Tom the Tourist for the rest of the day. The Russian Market, so named for the Russian expats who shopped here and kind of revived it in the 1980s. Even Buddha is for sale. You can bargain for Buddha. In fact, you're supposed to. Rocking the gingham pajamas and orange hat look. The Royal Palace. Not exactly my kind of place. Full of monuments to over-the-top luxury. Like the 5,000 silver tiles that used to be around the Silver Pagoda. During the Khmer Rouge years, Sihanouk lived as a prisoner here. Out to dinner at Kabas, which I could walk to, and had a great Cambodian curry and lime soda for something like $4.50. I took the long tuk-tuk ride out to the killing fields. It feels like lost souls and suffering, but to me the feeling of reverence was even stronger. pagoda full of skulls, 17 stories, is astonishing. The damage that was inflicted on people is all there to see. Better than wasting bullets, they said. Better to make a mistake and kill 100 innocent people than to let one enemy escape. That was a saying, too. This is a place that definitely acknowledges our capacity for violence. But it also demonstrates the holiness in all of life, no matter how much our reverence is challenged. I felt worshipful when I was there. I won't see the killing fields as just the bad Cambodia. I didn't have a clear idea what I was getting into with the ATM adventure, but it got clear fast. I was going to drive around following this guy through villages, backcountry roads, along rivers and rice fields until around sundown. At which point we'd stop, watch the sun go down, have a drink, and go back. Wow, I'd sure do that again. I had the idea of riding around the city in a cyclo, recording 360 video. Cyclos are kind of a relic of the past, but I like how out there and exposed you are. Could be perfect for the video. I just felt great looking at everything. What a privilege attending a special event this evening at CLA, even though it should be Morgs here, not me. Where the surviving masters of their traditional arts, who had been brought back to a life of honor and respect, were being celebrated. Today's young performers kneeling at their feet in love and appreciation. Then they performed a magical new dance called Dreams. That was the theme of the night, the dreams we have as children and our reflections on the lives we've had. Ken White is a friend of ours, an Australian who wanted to talk about VR, so I visited his office. Later, I met with Surin, who set up an actual dress rehearsal to record in 360. There should have been time for me to do it and still make my evening tour, but things ran late. I realized this was unfolding just right. Surin should be the one to record it anyway. Which he did, just fine. While I went off on the Vespa night tour. From street restaurants to raffles. It was really fun. The tour guide calls himself Jackie Cambodia. He knows how to tell a good story. At Raffles, he ordered the special drink made for Jacqueline Kennedy when she visited in 1967 on her way to Angkor Wat. Then he showed us a display case there with her pink lipstick on the side of the glass she used that night, exactly matching the color of the drink. Later he asked me why President Kennedy was killed. I said there are many theories about this, but one that I believe is that he was prepared to stop the Vietnam War before the U.S. involvement got serious. And powerful forces in the U.S. wanted the war to happen. I believe this is one of several motivating factors, so he was killed. Maybe if he wasn't, I went on, there would have been no Vietnam War, and no secret bombing of Cambodia, and probably no Khmer Rouge. The Kennedy assassination didn't just change the course of American history, it changed the course of world history. We all thought about that for a minute, then finished our special drinks. Dinner featured live music, ants, frogs, and beer. Amazingly, my ultimate 360 storytelling vision was still unfolding. I rode out with Rena to a secondary school for the fine arts where some of the CLA performers live and go to school. The idea was to record 360 video with Leia, who flirts so beautifully in the fishing dance, in real-life places that mean something to her. And that's what we did.
So she said, this is my classroom. Every early morning we come together. Also, all students and teachers come to here for practice until 11 o'clock, and then we go for lunch.
Okay.
Yeah. So she say, my name is Leia. I'm a student at Secondary of Fine Arts, and currently I'm working with Cambodia Living Art to perform every day at the National Museum. And now I'm making the instruments for performance. It's called peacock band.
Next, I hustled back to Sisawath, where I led a follow-up workshop that made it all the way to post-production. I booked one more activity, the foodie tour, which began at the impressive Eclipse Sky Bar. We zigzagged through night markets. This is Wat Phnom, where Phnom Penh started, as the story goes. We said goodnight. Sunday was my designated wind-down day. So I made a 360 video of my favorite omelet chef. Then I spent a few hours going around to all the famous tourist places that I hadn't gone to, making more 360 videos. I was feeling pretty emotional. It felt like a lot of threads of my life were coming together here, so I wrote about it. When I saw the show the first time, I was riveted by the performances. Now I actually know some of the performers. These are the stories I want to tell. Amazing young performers and the lives they live here. I finished packing and went to bed before midnight. Phnom Penh Airport is definitely JV. Waiting in line at the KL airport, I started talking with a young couple in front of me. They asked me where I've been, and I say, believe it or not, I've been making 360 VR videos in Cambodia. They say, wow, that sounds amazing, and I say, I'll show you one, and I bring up the Sisawath edit on my iPhone. At which point they totally freaked out and said, that's our high school. That was our classroom. Yep, they were recent Sisawath grads, now working on their MBAs in Kuala Lumpur. They loved the 360 video. I settled in at the Sama Sama, Kuala Lumpur International Airport for a little less than 24 hours of semi-luxury, including a Malay-style urut massage. Later, up in the special 9th floor lounge with complimentary food and drinks, I struck up a conversation with another old guy there by himself. Turned out to be a great conversationalist, so we swapped travel stories for a while. I talked Donald Duck talk to the little boy in front of me at immigration, and it definitely got his attention. Donald Duck. I thought I'd write the great American novel on the plane ride back home, but instead I binge-watched Shameless, Season 7. Oh my God. Nothing went wrong. Almost everything went like most hoped for. When I go to sleep in San Francisco, as I will have to soon enough, a spell will be broken. Wherever we are is so in our face, everything else feels like a dream. When I really leave home, it makes me feel alive in a different way. I want to keep that feeling in my life for a while more.